Style Podcast. Hey, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Sacred Style Podcast, a safe space where we get real and go deep to explore the intersection of modern spirituality, entrepreneurship, identity, and purpose. Hosted by intuitive artist and entrepreneur Daniela West, join us as we explore the transformational journey of becoming more fully you, whole, healed, and human. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to be here. And today I have a really incredible guest speaker. So, I'm super excited to introduce y'all. So in today's episode, I am speaking with Winter Clark about the power of Tantra to help us shift out of hustle culture by finding our feminine and balancing burnout for more ease and flow. So Winter is a spiritual guide, intuitive healer, and transformational mentor, offering soul-led rituals, embodiment practices, astrology, gene keys, human design, and sacred plant medicine wisdom. Through private sessions, ceremonial spaces, and personal storytelling, she empowers women to reclaim their pleasure, passion, and inner knowing. Her offerings weave intuitive coaching, divine feminine mysteries, and ancient traditions to support deep personal rebirth and soulful living. Based in Montana, she serves women worldwide through virtual sessions, her Substack platform, and sacred online gatherings. So, Winter, I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here with you to talk about these things.
Oh my gosh, me too. There's just so many modalities, so much incredible wisdom that you have to share with the world, with our audiences. So I'm excited to dive into this juicy topic because, you and I have spoken before about burnout, which is definitely something we've both experienced, probably more than once. And I think a lot of people out there in the world have probably gone through burnout at least once in their life. So I think it's a super relevant topic to today's world, especially as things keep rapidly evolving and overwhelm is at a pretty all-time high. So I'm just really happy to have you here. It's going to be fun.
It is.
Yes. Well, why don't we kick it off with learning a little bit more about you? I would love to hear a bit more about kind of your journey, sort of what is I'm guessing, incredible story that led you into this type of work.
So I'm a third generational intuitive. The lineage comes through my grandmother and my mother. And I decided to fully embrace that lineage back in 2016, 2017. It was around the time that my grandmother passed, and she was really the only other one who was actively using her gifts. My mom is a little bit more hedgy about it, but I realized that when she passed, and she passed on Valentine's Day, so I was like, okay,
Oh, I'm
grandma.
sorry. I'm sorry.
um, she just had I consider her to be I looked at her like Madonna. She just was very a unique individual and had such flair that I'm like, of course you would do it on the day of love.
Had to go
But
out with Claire.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was I felt like this truth washed over me of okay, it's your turn to pick up the torch and move forward. And I had been working all different kinds of corporate jobs up until that point. Um, and when I decided to pick it up again, it was this process of remembering because I had been walking the path when I was in college. I met all these amazing friends who were super curious about being psychic and talking to dead people and all these things. And I ended up shutting it down way back when I made something move by thinking about it at an IHOP. It was crazy.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I think it's time to come back to it. And universe, I'm ready. And of course, the universe loves to respond and started putting different teachers and mentors in my path and helped me to better understand uh, the way that I walk in two worlds. And when I decided to leave, like, the 9 to 5 behind and to start my own business and practice, I realized there was no blueprint for anything like that,
Yeah.
and was listening to pure intuition of, like, "Okay, like, what do I know how to do? I know how to do readings and, like, energy healing, so let's start with that." And I have that one line in human design, so I'm like, "No, but I'm so curious, like, there's more." And so I just started learning all these different modalities that you had mentioned earlier. And so as time went on over the years, as you go from being like an entrepreneur to like a small business owner,
Mhm.
what you don't take into consideration is how when you work within an existing structure of a 9 to 5, you get to
Yeah.
go to it, you get
Yeah.
to leave it.
Oh,
But when
yeah.
you have your own structure that you're creating, it's like, where's the end of and where's the
Yeah.
beginning? Yeah,
Yes.
so
Oh my
that's how I
gosh.
ended up here.
Wow. That is such a cool journey. That's so cool to hear about that. Can we go back to one little detail that I got really curious about when you said, I forgot how old you said, but when you were young, you were able to move something with your mind?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
what
I think it was, like, my sophomore year in college, and, the thing about intuitive abilities, I have found is that the more open and curious you are, the faster your abilities will grow. Like, fear
Mhm,
will, like, close the door, but if
mhm,
you're open and curious and feeling, like, encouraged,
mhm,
it's just gonna bloom just like a plant, right? So,
mhm.
um, it was my sophomore year of college. I was blessed to be surrounded by friends from, like, all different kinds of social groups. We were, like, such a motley crew of people, but they were so fascinated by, my ability to, like, remote view and, like, do all these we played psychic games and stuff like that. So,
Ah,
I didn't realize how fast my abilities were growing until I was sitting at IHOP with a girlfriend, and she was telling me some story about her guy that she was irritated about, and they give you the big jug of coffee,
yeah.
right? And when you're in college, like,
Yeah.
coffee's like, "More, please."
Yeah,
Caffeine. So
still
I'm
is for me.
looking
Yeah.
I'm looking at the jug and I'm looking at my cup and I'm like, it's like halfway down, but I want more. Should I
Yeah,
wait or should I
yeah.
just pour more?" And I'm like, I should really be focusing on what my friend's saying, like, I'm being rude.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, all that for like, however much time that took, where I switched my focus from the jug, the mug to my friend,
Uh-huh.
by the time that I chose, I guess, the timeline of, like, I'm gonna pay attention to her, like, it was a choice point.
Huh.
I focused on her instead, and the coffee jug moved across the table and pointed towards the mug,
Get out.
and I was just
Oh my
like,
gosh. Like, it was very noticeable?
and we looked at the table, there's no water, like, nothing, like, it slid a full 2 feet across as though I
Wow.
had reached and pulled it towards me. So, it was like I chose one timeline, but in the other timeline, I went ahead and did it, and
Wow.
this is actually explained in, like, how quantum physics works,
I was
like,
just thinking
instantaneous
quantum, yeah.
yeah, instantaneous manifestation, and my
Huh.
girlfriend was just like, "Is this gonna be a thing now?"
What, she wasn't even surprised?
I wasn't phased.
Oh my god, wow, that's
I was
impressive.
just like, "I don't know, it's a first for me too."
I'm
Sorry, I wanted more coffee.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm amazed by that friend who wasn't even phased by that. I think that speaks volumes of like, yeah, I guess anything's possible. Why not? Why not just we're actually in the movie Matrix now. Like it's literally
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So So it went from that to this idea of burnout, right? Which I could imagine can happen in probably any area of life. I'm super curious what you were saying before about like being a business owner, because I can definitely resonate with that too. Where it's like, I also came from the corporate world. It's very structured. Things are usually pretty clear in terms of like you clock in, you clock out, you can leave the work at home. There's a physical separation, hopefully an emotional separation from the work, but that can be difficult, which I'm sure we can get into. But then in the business world, it's like, especially when you're the face of the brand, it's your heart and soul, it's your passion, it's your purpose. It's like, I'm super curious what your experience has been between understanding where the lines are. We don't have the 9 to 5 structure anymore. So how do we what is the new approach? What is the new mindset when it comes to having clear boundaries with ourselves, especially when there's no one else watching? There's no boss. There's no one watching the clock. You know what I mean? What's your experience been with that?
My experience with that has been a really big learning curve because I feel like it also depends on like what kind of work you're doing. Be-
Mm,
and the reason I say that is I see this happening when I'm about to speak on this happening not just with myself but like with other healers
mm,
and and teachers where it's this thing of feeling the need to constantly like show up and be there and support like a caretaker, like a caregiver of
yeah.
sorts. And if you if you have a certain line of work where you're providing for others like a healing thing, it can be very difficult to find the line between where you need to be able to take care of your needs and your responsibilities to yourself and
Yeah.
where the other line of the other person that you're helping begins. So it started off a lot with really uh like sessions going overtime where it's like I didn't know how to close the container,
Yeah,
um,
I've been there. Mhm.
where it was the kind of thing, where sessions would go into areas like beyond like the scope of
Mm,
what we had talked about into an area where it's like, I'm not quite comfortable going there, but I see that you have this idea that I could help you with that too, but that's not that's not my thing. Um, and I had to and also like pricing. Seeing where I was putting all this time and energy into these sessions that were going to overtime, and then I'd walk away with like just enough like money to barely like make ends meet. And I was like, okay, something needs to change here.
yeah,
It's a kind of thing where it's not just, a business process, it turns into a personal growth process too,
oh, yeah.
because as I noticed where I had those leaky boundaries with clients in the beginning, I also had leaky boundaries with friendships too. So, it was this reflection of how I was navigating the world in my day-to-day life that was also starting to mirror in my work. So,
Mhm.
where that was really brought to my attention of like, okay, I'm totally drained and burned out by this, but I want to keep doing it. Like, how do I fix it? It would start there, and then I'd be like, oh, let me just take a big old inventory of
Yeah,
everywhere else
yeah,
of where
smart.
my time and energy is getting lost so that I can
Yes.
reach too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great point. What you mentioned about the leaky boundaries. I was thinking of that phrase too. I mean, it's absolutely something I experienced in my first few years of business, and I feel like it's an ongoing thing to keep an eye on. Where you know maybe there are times when I do still overgive in certain ways in the business or in relationships or in other areas of life. And that's been such a fascinating part of business building for me as well. I can really relate to this idea of like, it's not just work, it's not just business, it's interconnected with all the different areas of our life. It's like, how do you just compartmentalize one part of your life, one specific thing that you do? It's like you're working with people, you're being of service. It's about relationships, and you know it's never just business. I don't think so. um so I really appreciate that perspective. Do you have any tips? Like, I'm super curious, what have you done so far that I guess has really helped you with the leaky boundaries? How do you go about maybe repairing from that drain on your energy that leaky boundaries causes? How do you restore yourself from like people pleasing, overgiving, burnout? What does that journey look like for you?
Well, I guess this is where like those polarity energies come into play, like the tantric energies come into play, because when there's a leaky boundary, I feel like it's much more in the feminine energy realm, because the feminine is wild, she's chaos, like what boundaries? Like
Mhm.
don't contain me, right?
You
And
know.
when you're in that energy, it's like just like how you set the timer before, it's like you need a structure
Mhm.
there to create
Uh-huh.
the container space, right? And the structure of the container is the masculine, like holding it so that the feminine can, like, do what she needs to do. So I was seeing how with the leaky boundaries, how my feminine energy was too loosey goosey. Like, I love you, feminine, but
Mhm.
we love your exuberance and your energy and your expression, but like in
Yes.
order to maintain that potency, we gotta, you know,
Mm,
give you a little bit of support here.
yes.
Otherwise you're just gonna, you're gonna literally burn out like your flame.
Yes.
Um, so what then switching into the more masculine energy of saying like, okay, how can I refine my structures and my habits and my way of looking at things so that I feel safer to be in that feminine, creative energy that is the healer and the teacher, because I know that those masculine structures like have my back and I'm able to do what I need to do without even like thinking about it. Um,
Mhm.
and there's also times when it's in the reverse, right? Like I also can see when I have a tendency to be overly structured
Mhm.
and can become burnt out in that way by not allowing myself enough time to play and regenerate.
Ooh, playtime. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy you mentioned play because that is such a huge missing component I discovered, since becoming an adult, whatever that means. It's like when I had to grow up, it's like, where has the play gone? You know what I mean? Especially in corporate culture, in this hustle culture that has really taken over, the business world. Ugh, I don't know, maybe since the industrial era, let's say. It's like we've all been bred to work almost as robots, without taking into account those energetic needs, those different rhythms that every individual has, And I love the concept of the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies, like the yin and the yang kind of imagery is what comes to mind for me. Where it's like Yeah, the hustle culture I feel has been bred out of the hyper masculinity of the world, where, at least in corporate culture, it's like, yeah, it's all structure, it's all rigidity, it's so much planning, it's so much drive, it's like take action and reach out, until you die. Like never stop with the productivity, rest is for the weak or whatever, messaging we're getting. And so I love this idea of play. Would you say that's much more related with the feminine? That's like a feminine.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Play is of the feminine for sure.
Mhm.
Like, for example, like how we were talking uh previously about like the move that I went through and all
Mhm.
like the strategizing and planning and organizing that like all that masculine energy. And then I
Mhm.
felt like my nervous system was fried from
Yeah,
that. And all I wanted to do was like nothing
yeah.
except for sleep and like get like body work done. But it's like I still have to show up for clients. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, looking at my schedule, making sure that I have time slotted for very specific self-care that I have to go show up for. Not
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm gonna go take a walk because I'm not always gonna do that. Like the the yang part of me is gonna be like, no, no, but just one more thing. And then we'll
One more
go.
guy, let's
Next
push,
thing you
right?
know,
Push a little
yeah.
more.
Yeah, it's dinner time and now you have to like show up for your partner and like all this other stuff. Um, so I like to help my feminine and play stay accountable, like accounted
Mhm,
for
mhm.
by using a bit of that young masculine energy of like, okay, let's get it on the calendar. Let's get it in there. And it's going to
Uh,
be a thing where you have to go to another practitioner, like the acupuncture. Okay, you got to be there at this time. No
uh-huh.
ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
you're leaning into the masculine to help support your feminine and, like, make time for that.
yeah, yeah.
Aw.
Because it's like the kind of thing where um I can see when I'm staying too much in young masculine energy and I can really easy go into just busy mode
Mhm.
and just
Yeah,
keep
me
going.
too. Me too.
But then I feel the creativity slowly dying.
Yes.
And it's like, "Ooh, okay, no, this means we need rest and we need play."
Yeah.
So, let's take care of the rest part first. So, like, okay, acupuncture, massage, feeling better, great, but you still need more. So,
Mhm.
I did some research yesterday into some nearby trails that I
Uh-huh.
haven't gone to yet because 'cause I've just moved here. So, I'm like, "Okay, I have 2 hours marked out on my calendar today, like, go." Go
Yeah.
to nature,
Yeah.
and nature for me is play because there's, like, plants and animals and insects and water, like, there's all these things to
Yes.
interact with and have conversations with and just go back to that sense of, like, childlike wonder, so
Mhm. I love that. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went out into the woods just yesterday morning. I I woke up in the for the last week, let's say I've been in a very hyper masculine way of working because I'm about to move next week. And so I sort of felt that drive kick in of like, my God, I gotta get X, Y, and Z done. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get settled in. I don't know how long I can, get back in the structure. So let me just get all these things done now and then I can relax and focus on moving. And of course, I was getting uh, too far into the young and into the masculine. I felt myself really starting to get off balance and just really stressed, really tense and anxious. My body started hurting, my shoulders tensed. And I'm like, oh, this is a familiar feeling. And I thought, I need to take to the woods. I was like, I gotta go talk to the trees. I gotta, because this is not sustainable. And, I've been through burnout maybe 5 times in the last 7 years, quite a lot. And so I stopped myself. I went to the trees. I just literally sat in the dirt for a while, surrounded by tons of plants. And I just felt that I just needed a good cry. Like I needed to release a lot of those emotions. I just needed to let myself chill and do nothing. And even though it didn't feel fun necessarily, I feel like I'm wondering if you would consider that still sort of a feminine energetic approach of like, just let your body be still and release emotions. Like, what's your perspective on that?
I have countless times gone to the woods when I'm all sorts of upset and sad and just like walked trails and like spoken
Yeah.
a lot to the forest and be like, what the hell? As
Yeah.
though like the forest is like one giant like therapist and
Yes.
just would walk and talk and cry and blubber and like the whole thing
Okay.
until it was all out
Yeah.
and then turn around and like head back and like
Yeah.
it's so cathartic to have the essence of nature, like the plants and the animals, their
Mhm.
energy just holding space for you to just
Mhm.
be like your human self.
Yeah, I love that. I I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard this somewhere that nature helps you attune to like your core frequency. It helps you harmonize with your intuition, and get back to like feeling centered, I guess. It's such a great rebalancing tool. And I guess that's why intuitively I just felt called to take to the woods. I've done this a few times this year, like get out into the woods whenever whenever I feel clouded, whenever I can't hear myself, I don't know what to do, I don't know next steps, I'm like clouded in fear. I'll go out in nature and walk as long as it takes, until I it always helps me get clear, intuitive answers and insights. Um they just bubble up and I'm just like, "Oh my god, that's genius. I feel so much better." You know? Like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be okay, girl, it's gonna be okay." I always leave nature feeling like that? So it is like therapy. I love what you said.
Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah.
beautiful. Oh my goodness. Nature as our natural and free therapist. I think we could make that a commercial. I love that. Oh my gosh, winter. I would love to hear a little more about Tantra itself because I've definitely heard the concept in the spiritual space, but I don't know too much about it myself. So I'd love to hear what is that? Like what is your perspective on that and how is that a tool or a modality that I guess really comes to play in your work also?
So with Tantra, it's funny because I came into Tantra like not related to work at all. It was more of being curious about the polarity that I was not familiar with. So I have vast experience with the divine feminine and like working with like goddess archetypes and things like that. And I've channeled deities and stuff like that, but
Mm.
not a clue as to what the divine masculine was like. Yeah,
Ah,
no healthy examples. I'm like, I don't know what this energy is like at all. And I
okay.
found myself at like a weekend long like tantra workshop. Like that was the beginning of the journey
Mhm.
and was introduced to the idea of the various shades of polarities that we all move through as humans from yin to yang, from feminine to masculine,
Mhm,
and all the different ways that we express those energies.
mhm,
And I got hooked because I was like, this just makes so much sense.
mm.
And being a Gemini, like that dualistic sign, I'm like, my whole world makes so much more sense now
Ah,
with this like
yes.
awareness. And
Yeah.
so the further I got into it, I was like, wait, I can actually see how this applies to a lot of things. Like
Mm.
Tantra, you can literally apply to like almost everything.
Okay.
Because when you're considering those core principles of balance, like between one and the other, and neither one is right or wrong, like they just
Mhm,
are.
mhm,
And we're always moving um in between those two dynamics. So when I started to understand better how those polarities were being expressed through me, I started to see the patterns and how I was acting with those polarities in my approach to my relationships and to my work.
mm,
And I began to see, like, oh, I'm really over here when it comes to my work, and I don't give myself a whole lot of time over here. And I
mm.
can see how that's making me really tired and not being as excited to show up for it because I'm just doing too much of it.
Yeah.
And I need to create time and space for myself to be in the other energy, which
Mm,
is likely not going to be anywhere near my work, but it's still connected. Like you need to be away from your work in order for your work to be great because you can't be in it
mm.
all the time. And there's this fear that comes up as a business owner. If I'm not in it, it's all gonna fall apart. Like
Right.
have to always be on because it's just me or it's me and one
Right.
other person. And like, this fear of the structure falling down. But if you've built a good structure
Mm,
that's designed to keep going even when you're not on,
mhm.
then you have the freedom to move back and forth, like towards it, away from it, towards it, away from it. And I also feel like when you start to understand like how these polarities work, I have I have found that when I am being really good at balancing, going between in it, out of it,
Mhm.
um, that when I'm out of it and either resting or playing or doing something for self-care, that's when like amazing opportunities come in. And I'm like, wait a minute. And it's like the wisdom of Tantra is that, like, if you're constantly in just one polarity, like, you are creating a block. There's an energetic block there.
Wow.
And that block is if you're constantly in the yang, that's constant doing. There's no
Mhm.
receiving. So you have
Mm,
to step away from it to be
mm,
able to receive what's trying to come in for you from all the doing. Like, that's
mm.
why you have to do that back and forth dance. Yeah.
Oh my god. It's so is it like I'm seeing the masculine, the doing part of business, like the planting seeds, the yard work, the planting seeds, but then the feminine comes in and it's like, okay, now we have to step away from the seeds. We can't be watching them every single second of the day, expecting them to suddenly be flowers, right? It's like if we watch it every single second, it's going to feel like an eternity before anything happens, which is excruciating. Honestly, the waiting is excruciating when you are focused on that. Um,
Mhm.
excuse me. Yeah, when you are focused on the waiting, it is so excruciating. And I've experienced that a lot through business too, of learning how to step away, how to find some healthy detachment between, okay, thank you, masculine. Like, I've done good work. I was productive. I planted a lot of seeds, I cast my net far and wide. And now I have to step away and I got to focus on me and what I need to feel safe to actually live life and play and like actually live the kind of lifestyle that the world tells us being a business owner, should give you, that freedom filled lifestyle is like, how are you going to find freedom if you're clinging so tightly to the very thing you created to give you freedom? It's almost like
Mhm.
you're just clinging, you've just created a prison, calling it your sanctuary. That's something I've been realizing over the years when it comes to like this container that business owners create, which I find so fascinating. So I love this concept of making space for the stillness and the receiving, you know, and focusing more on that feminine flow and the play and the freedom and the nurturing and pouring into yourself so that the universe can pour back into you based on the seeds you've been planting. So I love that. Winter. This is such juicy wisdom. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I would love to I'd love to kind of wrap things up with some final juicy nuggets of advice from you, like if there are any readers or listeners, watchers right now who are maybe going through burnout, maybe they are working on building their business and struggling with feeling safe to actually step away from it, because I know that's a very common struggle that I've seen in the business world, and I still go through it sometimes myself. um what would you say to someone who's struggling with that?
Um, there were a couple things that come to mind, but what came to mind like the strongest was there's this activity that I learned that I like to do when I feel like I'm too much in one side or the other and it's hard to see the viewpoint of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's important to make space for that viewpoint because there's valuable information there, right? So when you're struggling from burnout and you're starting up a new business and like you're so focused on like, you know, getting things done and results and like outcomes, like you have all these expectations going on. Um Something that I would suggest is to invite both of those energies in, the masculine energy and the feminine energy, and, like, the way that I was taught this practice is to, like, have, like, 2 pillows or 2 cushions to sit on to give them each a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and, like, you sit on one, and you're like, "Okay, I'm sitting in the feminine," and, like, your eyes are closed, and you're just, like, tuning in with that energy and, like, "Hey, like, I feel like I haven't really given you a chance to have space and like, to provide for your needs. Like, what can I do that would be most helpful for you?" And just let the answer like present itself, like come up intuitively. It could be anything from like, I really need a cookie right now
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
to
one.
like, can we take a bath tonight with like sea salt and essential oils and like I need spa time. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, I love
And
that.
then,
So it's like you are doing this physical practice where you're allowing each polarity to literally have a voice and tell you what it needs.
yeah.
That's so cool. I've never heard that one before. I might try that myself. I like that. Wow. That's awesome advice, Winter. Thank you. That's really cool.
Welcome.
Um So let me just take a little sip of water, actually. Mm, allergies, y'all. They are fierce today. Well, oh my gosh, I can't believe I literally feel like it's been 5 minutes, but I think it's been a little more than that. So I would love to share you with the audience. Would love to, you know, see where can people find you. Do you have anything that you're promoting right now? Yeah, let us know how we can find you.
So, I have my website, um, that's, the Sublime Feminine,
Mm,
.com. I'm also on Instagram under just my name, like I am Winter Clark, to make
okay.
it super easy. And I'm in the process of building up my YouTube channel again. I used to have it years ago when I was doing like weekly readings for all the signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the kind of thing where I'm talking about like Tantra and relationships and like doing EFT tapping and channeling codes. And so it's like a really nice like medley of things on there. So you can like pick and choose
Yeah.
which draws your interest the most. And I have a Substack too. It's a little quiet over there, but there's a trove, like a treasure trove of resources on there, also related to Tantra and plant medicine. The things that I have going on right now for promotion is I took all of the transformational coaching workshops that I did um over the years, where it's like this whole like shamanic journeying process with journaling and guided visualization meditations. I took all those and I took all of my shamanic energy healing meditations too, and I put them in a like a community space where people can have access to them for um a really like accessible price and have the option to add on like a mini integration session, because people will go through these and stuff will come up. Be like, what do
Yeah.
I do with the stuff? So
Yeah.
so that option is in there if you're like, hey, I need some help with this. And then there's a second tier of that where it's the same, but then you once a month you get like a full length like session with me.
So people have the option to do like a mini integration with you?
Yeah, it's it's something that I came up with as a solution so that people aren't just in that library, like, doing things on their own and, like, feeling like they're alone moving through that process.
Mm,
They have option to book, like, a 30-minute thing where they can, like, ask me more questions or say, "Hey, this came up, like, I need some support
mm.
around it." Um, and I want to do it at an accessible price point, like, it's, like, 25 bucks a month where you get to move through your own processes and, like, add on, help if you like. And then the second one was, if you would like all that, but also, like, a full length, like, hour-long, like, session with me, which can be helpful for, deepening, like, the healing and transformational process, because everyone's different. Some people need a little bit of help. Some people are like, "No, I need a deep dive."
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's incredible that you offer that, and the chance to work one-on-one with you, I'm sure is super powerful. So amazing, amazing, amazing. So yeah, we'll drop all the links in the show notes in the description below so people can find you and your incredible work. And well, this has been so enlightening, so riveting. I have enjoyed every minute. I hope you have too.
Yes, so much fun.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was. I'm so glad to have you on the show. And just want to say thank you to all our listeners out there. And thanks for being with us, Winter. It's been awesome. And
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. So we will catch you next time on the Sacred Style podcast. And I hope you all have an awesome day. Bye bye. Subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot to help grow the channel and impact more beautiful souls like you. And remember, keep flowing and growing, my friend. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye!